Our topic is the light and lenses, and the objective is, at the end of the chapter, the students are expected to have gain knowledge and better understanding on the concept and basic principles of light, its sources, and primary properties. Abstracted the concept of the electromagnetic spectrum. Gained ability to recognize and differentiate the colors of the spectrum. Attained the ability to distinguish objects, mediums, which affects speed of light and its relation to photography. Develop critical thinking on how light rays change direction and its application to police photography. Develop awareness on how light rays behave when passing through a lens and its significance in taking photographs. Identified and differentiated camera lenses and its proper utilization. Recognize the significance of lens and its relation to light rays when taking photographs of crime scene. Definition of terms. Lenses, an optical unit mounted in the carriera which makes possible the formation of a sharp image. Light. Light is a form of electromagnetic impulse of the same family as a radio Hertzian waves. Heat, infrared, ultraviolet, X-rays, and cosmic rays. Principles of light. Light or visible light is electromagnetic radiation of a wavelength that is visible to the human eye about 400 to 700 nm. In the context of science, light is sometimes used to refer to the entire electromagnetic spectrum. Sources of light. Light comes from many sources. Lights for photography can obtain either from natural light or artificial light. Maaari daw gamitin dito yung natural na liwanag tulad ng sikat ng araw. Yun yung tinatawag na natural light. Samantalang pagka yung artificial, maaaring gawa ng tao tulad ng mga liwanag ng fluorescent. Natural light. Nakapaloob dito yung sun, flames, white hot metals. Stars emit radiations within the visible spectrum and are called luminous objects. All other objects called the non-luminous objects are visible because they reflect light from luminous objects. Artificial light. Any light which is produced through the human agency such as forms of electric light, magnesium light, etc. Candlelight, fluorescent light, incandescent lamp, neon lights, laser lights, mercury. Light can exhibit properties of both waves and particles. This property is referred to as wave-particle duality. The study of light, known as optics, is an important research area in modern physics. Pag sinabing artificial light, ito yung gawa na ng taong liwanag tulad nung sa liwanag ng mga ilaw, yung fluorescent. May tinatawag tayong light radiation. Radiation is the transmissions of heat or light, especially from one body to another body. When an atom in a light source is changed physically, it emits a photon, electromagnetic radiations which behaves like a wave and at the same time like a particle. Light is a particular type of electromagnetic radiations that can be seen and sent by the human eye, but this energy exists at a wide range of wavelengths. The micron is the basic unit for measuring the wavelength of electromagnetic waves. The spectrum of wave is divided into sections based on wavelength. The shortest wave are gamma rays, which wavelength of 10 to 6 microns or less. The longest waves are radio waves, which have wavelengths of many kilometers. The range of visible consists of the narrow portion of the spectrum from 0.4 microns blue to 0.7 microns red. The electromagnetic spectrum. The electromagnetic spectrum is a continuum of all electromagnetic waves, arranged according to frequency and wavelength. The sun, earth, and other bodies radiate electromagnetic energy of varying wavelengths. Electromagnetic energy passes through space at the speed of light in the form of sinusoidal waves. Electromagnetic radiation. In terms of classical theory, the flow of energy at the universal speed of light through free space or through material medium in the form of the electric and magnetic fields that make up electromagnetic waves such as radio waves, visible light, and gamma rays. In such a wave, time-varying electric and magnetic fields are mutually linked with each other at right angles. There have the electromagnetic radiation measurement of light. 0 to 30 X-ray, 30 to 400 ultraviolet, 400 to 700 visible light, 700 to 1000 nm infrared light, 1000 up nm radio light waves. Visible light waves are the only electromagnetic waves we can see. We see these waves as the colors of the rainbow. Each color has different wavelength. Red has the longest wavelength and violet has the shortest wavelength. When all the waves are seen together, they are seen as white light. Ang visible light daw ay ito yung ating nakikita. Makikita natin ito sa kulay ng rainbow. At yung pula yung pinaka mahaba at ang pinakamiksi naman kulay ay ang violet. When white light shines through a prism, the white light is broken apart into the colors of the visible light spectrum. Water vapor in the atmosphere can also break apart wavelengths, creating a rainbow. The basic principle is light is a radiant energy. Other forms of radiant energy are, and each one differs in wavelength, heat rays, X-rays, radio waves. Radiant energy can identified by its wavelength and listed on a number line called electromagnetic spectrum. Light travels through a vacuum and through the air at a speed of 186,000 miles per second but can be slowed by dense medium such as glass of water. The portion of the electromagnetic spectrum that affects the sense of light in humans is called the visible spectrum and is limited to radiation of extremely short wavelength. Radiations of light are seen as colors, the longest of which seen is as red, the shortest seen as violet. Radiations of light lying adjacent to red but outside the visible spectrum is infrared red. Radiation of light lying adjacent to violet but outside the visible spectrum is ultraviolet ray. When all wavelengths of the visible spectrum are radiated by a light source in equal amounts, the mixture is seen as white light. The absence of light is called black. Whenever any wavelength light is present in greater abundance than others, the resulting light is colored. Wavelength of wave is the distance from peak to an adjacent true in a wave. Frequency of a wave is a number of waves per unit of time. Importance of light to photography. Things are seen by our naked eyes when light shines on them. We see things when light rays are reflected from into our eyes. We can take a picture when light rays from an object reach when light rays get in contact with opaque objects. Light rays are reflected. Diffuse reflected light occur when light rays get in contact with rough objects. medium, and specular recording of light should be at a desired amount only in order to gain quality image, and this reflected light when it gets in contact with smooth objects or medium. In taking photographs, our camera lens without light images may or not be recorded in the film of the camera. They can be achieved by the manipulation of the lens aperture.
Objects mediums which affect speed of light. Light travels in the atmosphere in straight direction at a speed of 186,000 miles per second. The, the speed of light is slowed down when it gets in contact with some object or medium. The following attack of speed of light, transparent object. Ito yung mga bagay o halimbawa ay medium na kung saan pinabaga lamang ang bilis ng lights ngunit pinapayagang makatagos ito na malaya sa mga bagay. Example na lang nun ay yung mga plastic materials, transparent clothes, opaque objects, mga bagay na lumilihis o nag-a-absorb ng ilaw. Pero ito ay hindi pinapayagan na madaanan ito ng ilaw. Ang halimbawa dito ay yung mga metal, bato, kahoy, pakiwi objects, either absorb or divert light rays. Absorption of light is the process where certain materials convert light energy into another form of energy. The use of black painted background, for example, is used by the photographer to subtract or reduce light so that it does not bounce itself around in an undesirable way. Diversion is the change in the direction of light wave that strikes the surface of any object that creates reflection either by specular or diffuse reflection. The subject must face the source of light. How light changes direction. General principle: light travels in straight line but change the direction of light wave when it comes in contact with different object. The change in the direction of light wave may either be through reflection or refraction. So doon sinasabi na ang pagbabago ng direksyon ng mga light rays ay maaaring sa pamamagitan ng mga pagsasalamin o reflection is a change in the direction of light wave which occurs whenever light waves come in contact with the surface of an subject but does not allow the wave to pass through it. Of the three ways in which light rays may change direction, reflection is the most important to the photographer. In direct reflection, the light rays will bounce from a smooth surface at the same angle at which they hit. The usual intensity of the direct reflection will mirror the intensity of the light source. There are two ways of how light rays are reflected. Diffuse reflected light. When light rays come in contact with rough surface, diffuse reflection occurs when light from a source is equally reflected in all directions by the surface onto which it strikes. Diffuse reflection are the same intensity no matter what angle or direction they are viewed from. A diffuse light source has low contrast because its ray hit the subject from many different angle pass. Yon. Dito, kapag daw ang mga light rays ay nakikipag-ugnay sa mga magagaspang na ibabaw, ang pagsalamin ng diffuse ay nangyayari kapag ang ilaw mula sa isang mapagkukunan ay pantay na makikita sa lahat ng direksyon ng ibabaw kung saan ito naaabot o direksyon kung saan sila tinitingnan. Ang may example dyan, yan, ito. Example. Specular reflected light. When light rays come in contact with smooth surface such as a mirror, it produces glare seen on the surface of a body of water is known as polarized direct reflection. Yon, dito naman ay parang kabaliktaran nung isa na dito ay ang mga ilaw ay ang mga light ay nag-uugnay sa mga makinis na naman na ibabaw. Tulad ng mga halimbawa salamin. Gumagawa ito ng nakakasilaw at doon makikita sa ibabaw ng isang katawan. At sa tubig naman ay makikita ang parang pinaka polarized na direktang pagsasalamin. Prism is a solid for dispersing light. It is a transparent polygonal solid object with flat faces and usually a triangular cross-section used for separating white light into a spectrum of colors. Light rays bend twice when passing through a prism. Yon. Dito ang karaniwan naman ditong example ay yung kapag sa baso. O ay baso. Yun ay may isang baso na may refracting na mga ibabaw na bumubuo ng isang anggulo sa bawat isa. Binabago nito ang landas ng mga light ray. Ikakalat ang ilaw sa mga kulay na ng sangkap nito. Significance of lenses to photography. A lens is a piece of transparent material with at least one curved surface which refracts or bends light rays coming from an object. It is simply a piece of glass that has been constructed so that all the light rays which pass through it are bent toward or away from one point, which is determined by the maker of the lens. Lenses are usually made out of glass or plastic, and they have special property which can give good result. The photographer should choose a type of lens which has good resolution. Lens which refers to resolving power such as retaining fine lines without blurring another to achieve good result of the image. There are only two kinds of lenses common to photography, and these are the convex and concave lenses or the combination. Yon, dito naman, ang isa daw lens ay isang transparent na material tulad ng isang glass o plastic. Tsaka meron ditong tinukoy dito na meron dalawang uri lamang ng mga lens na karaniwan sa pagkuha ng litrato, at ito ang mga convex at concave lens o ang pagsasama kapag ang light ray ay dumadaan sa isang tiyak na uri ng lens. Sa illustration na ito, ninyo makikita ang mga type ng lens. Characteristics of light rays when passing through a lens. Converging rays. There is convergence of light rays when light rays meet at one point. After they pass through a lens, lenses which cause light ray to converge are usually thick in the center and thinner at their edge. They are called convex lens. The point at which light converge is called the focus. Yon. Dito naman ay may pagtatagpo ng mga light rays kapag ang mga light rays ay natutugunan sa isang punto pagkatapos nilang dumaan sa isang lens. Ang converge naman, yun daw yung pinaka-tinatawag nilang focus. Tulad nito, yan. Sa illustration, makikita nyo yung example dyan. Diverging rays. Diverging rays are light rays which bend away from a given point. Lenses which cause light rays to diverge are known as concave lens. Yon. Ang mga diverging ray ay mga light ray na daw na nag-bend mula sa isang naibigay na point. Ang mga lente na nagdudulot ng pagkakaiba ng mga light rays ay kilala din bilang mga concave lens. In taking photographs, the photographer has several types of lenses to choose from depending upon the condition or situation of the crime scene in which he is supposed to photograph. Types of camera lenses. Wide wide angle lens, used when photographing narrow and crowded spaces. Yon. Ginagamit ito kapag kum- kumukuha ng litrato ang kumukuha ng litrato sa mga makikitid at masikip na lugar. Normal lens. Lenses which are commonly used in regular photography. Ito yung mga ginagamit natin sa pang-araw-araw pag nagpe-picture tayo. Ganon. Telephoto. Fixed lenses used in photographing long or far distance. Yon, ginagamit naman ito sa mga malalayong distance ng pagpipicture. Zoom lens. Lenses which are variable, it can photograph from the shortest to longest distance. Dito naman ay maaari mong mapalapit at mapalayo ang pagkuha ng larawan. Macro lens. Lenses that enlarge object and magnify from 1 to 9 times. Yun, parang sa zoom lang din, pwede mong ilapit, parang mas palalakihin mo. Macro lens, used to photograph minute object and magnify and enlarge from 10 times up. Significance of lenses and light rays to photography. For any lens, the focus point is not the same for a subject 10 feet away as it is for a subject 20 feet away. The farther the object is from lens, the closer the focus will be the lens. Subject more than 60 feet or more are called infinity. These conditions are affected by the focal length of the lens and intensity of light. Yun. So, ang mga lens na ay hindi daw pare-parehas ng subject. Meron daw na mga lens na hanggang 10 feet lang or hanggang 20 feet lang yung pinakalayo nila. Pero, kung mas malayo daw ang lens, ay mas madali daw i-focus nito sa pipicturan niya. Ang mga subject na higit naman daw sa 60 feet ay tinatawag na infinity. Yung lahat ng yun ay sakop ng focal length. Focal length of the lens. The property of the lens that will focus the subject as infinity at a certain distance from the lens. Ito naman ay isang lens na kayang makuha ng larawan ng mga nasa malalayong distansya. Yan, may example. Intensity of light, which is the strength or quantity of light that reaches the subject, implies that the light source at any given distance from subject will lighten the subject with an intensity that then the same light source move to twice the distance from the subject. This concept is governed by the inverse square law, which states the intensity of the diffuse light reflected is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the light source and the subject. Understanding behavior of light is prerequisite to understanding how to control the light when taking photographs. Remember that light can act on any subject that it strikes, that its intensity or brightness, temperature, and contrast are the three important properties that should be given the utmost concern of the photographer. How lenses affect photographic image. In photography, the result of image is affected sometimes by the defect in lens property, especially in shape. In capturing wavelength of light known as lens aberration, which is defined as follow. Yon, doon daw ang resulta ng mga imahe ay apektado minsan ng mga depekto sa pag-aari ng lens. Ito yung mga example. Lens aberration is an anomaly of the lens which cause distortion of the image due to lens curvature or color. At the edge of the lens, at the edge of the lens. New York Institute of Photography defines aberration as an optical distortion of an image caused by a lens. Some of the lens aberration are as follows. Chromatic aberration is caused by a lens having a different refractive index for different wavelengths of light. A chromatic lens. A lens corrected to bring together the yellow and blue-violet rays so that no color fringe will appear in the final image. Most photographic lenses, except the meniscus and periscopic lens, are of this type. However, the achromatic lens is more highly corrected for all colors. Lens curvature and curve mirrors. The deviation of light rays cause image of object to be blurred. Parallax is an apparent displacement of an object when viewed at two different angles. Three-dimensional depth is perceived or when the person looking at the object change position. Astigmatism. A fault of a lens caused by slight non-uniformity of refraction which prevent a sharp focus being obtained simultaneously upon both vertical and horizontal lines. A spherical lens, a lens in which one surface departs from a true spherical shape, has a certain advantage in the control of optical aberration, especially in reducing spherical aberration. The absence of a practical method of mass producing a spherical elements is retarded the popularity of such lens.